Hi, this is Darrell with Carte Blanche Media, and today I have as my guest Kamran Hameed, who's a digital marketing consultant. Thank you so much for being with me, Kamran. Um, First of all, tell me a little bit more about yourself, if you don't mind.
Sure thing, Daryl. Good morning, and thank you for having me on here as well. Hope you had a good weekend. Talk about it way, but to everyone else who's checking this out, hello everyone. Name is, as mentioned, my name is Kamran Hameed. I am based in the South Florida area. I'm a digital marketing consultant. Been doing digital marketing overall for about a decade now, helping companies improve the amount of online leads and conversions they were receiving by strengthening their online presence through search engine optimization efforts, social media, pay-per-click advertising, even a little bit of email and affiliate marketing as well. And outside of that, I do what I can to be involved in the community, whether it is being a member for a local marketing organization, being vice president of public relations for a local Toastmasters chapter, or running a young professional networking group in the area. I just do what I can to be involved and just help them with my knowledge and experience in marketing, just helping them with their efforts as well too. I know that's like a bit of oversimplification of my background, but
Yeah,
that's just a little bit of high level overview of myself.
no, I appreciate it. Well, maybe we could kind of dive in just a little bit more. So, like, how did you first get started with digital marketing? What was kind of your first jump into the industry there?
Yeah, sure. Well, I majored in marketing when I was at Florida International University. And one of my mentors at that time, well, number one, we were studying marketing, a lot of us marketing majors were realizing, oh, wow, there's actually a lot more to it than what we thought originally. Or it was just more of advertising and promoting and all that stuff, right? The creative side of things. So once we realized that, one of my mentors at the time was telling me that marketing is going more towards digital side of things. So you should get your foot in that door and just do that route. As a result, he helped me get an internship at this online marketing agency, which at that time was top 10 in the nation. And from there, it helped me get my feet wet into the whole game of digital marketing. What is these different aspects of digital marketing, how the things work and so forth. So it was a little bit like the basics of it. And then from there, I worked in the in-house marketing department for various startup companies within various industries. Talking about finance, retail, nonprofits, tech, even local mom and pop shops as well. And just doing, like I said, it's been just helping them with their SEO, social media, and pay-per-click advertising efforts.
Awesome. And kind of what would you say has kind of been your biggest challenge since you got started there?
Well, I would say the biggest challenge overall when it comes to digital marketing is just the fact that the game is always changing, and all we can do is really just keep up with all the updates that are happening, such as whenever Google makes any changes to their algorithm, and understanding what are now no longer best practices and so forth, to even certain tools and platforms that we may use, such as, let's say, Facebook ads, for example. I know you can relate to that with how sometimes the infrastructure or how to be able to use it and how to navigate around it changes quite a bit as well too. So
Oh, yeah.
it's just more so of being able to keep up with the changes that are happening, and they can come at a rapid pace as well too. I always say that I joke about it, but maybe there is some truth to it as well. I don't know if you can agree with me on this, Daryl, but I always say this is Google's world. We're just living in it. So
But
that's why I kind of like I joke about it. But but that's the thing. They do kind of run the industry to an extent, and all we can do is just kind of keep up with what they're implementing and trying to make sure that we are following best practices, so then we can kind of stay top of mind in their search results.
yeah, I would say Google, Facebook, Microsoft, OpenAI, like just we're
Mm-hmm.
just cogs in the wheel, right?
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. Um, that being said, kind of what's been your biggest success that you've had since you kind of started with digital marketing or film?
well, I would say the biggest success, I would say, or the thing I'm most proud of, is being able to carve out a career in digital marketing in an area where the demand for it wasn't too high. So when I mean that in the sense of like the South Florida area, the demand for digital marketing historically hasn't been too high from that perspective. Nowadays, obviously, it's catching up from that front, but things in the South, overall speaking, and also down here too in South Florida, they do tend to move rather slow. So things that may be like the latest happening in other places in the country. Let's just say like California, for example, something that's they're happening there right now. We won't see until maybe like a few years later type of ordeal. And that's that. But me for being able to get a career in digital marketing for about a decade now within South Florida area is something that I've been.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite marketing book or digital marketing book that's kind of helped you along the way there?
There's no marketing book that kind of comes into play. It's more of when it comes to any books overall speaking that I read about, a lot of it is more of self-development books or life development books type of ordeal. Maybe one perfect example, the
Sure.
last one I read was Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom, I think his name is,
Good book.
which ironically, he's a sports writer for Detroit. And incredible book. If any of you haven't read it before, you definitely it's not a big read, but definitely check it out from that front. But some of these instances when you read these books, you can sometimes implement certain ideas that is talked about into your marketing efforts because marketing is still to a certain extent psychology as well too. So some of the things that you you can be able to that you learn from it sometimes just light bulb moment comes and like try that out and then see what happens because it still is also when it comes to marketing you still need to experiment a little bit and see what works and all that stuff and if it works oh wow this is phenomenal and you kind of like build upon that.
Nice. That being said, kind of in the same vein there, do you have a favorite podcast or anything that's kind of helped you along or that you listen to right now? Cool.
Well, unpopular opinion, I'm not really a fan of podcasts. Purely, and my reasoning is just because there's so many out there, and it's hard to, I guess you could say, pick which is the one to really listen to, if you will. However, there are some that, if you're just talking about from a marketing perspective,
Sure.
I would say, trying to think. I know Search Engine Journal, I believe, has one that gets released every week. It's not too long. And some people on LinkedIn as well too that are like thought leadership folks that they'll do LinkedIn audio rooms talking about the latest things that are happening in particular aspects of digital marketing. One person, for example, she hasn't done it in quite a while, but I'm gonna reach out to her and remind me of that. But she used to do on a weekly basis on Thursdays for 30 minutes talking about the latest things that are happening in social media. And whether it is certain things where this new platform just got released by Meta or this new feature on Instagram has been released or these new privacy updates that are happening, be aware of this and here are the ways you can go about fixing it and so forth. So those are certain things from that point that I will try to uh, go about in that sense. There's actually one article I just read about. It was about since AI is all the talk nowadays and so forth. There's this article about, and I'll send it to you afterwards as well.
Sure.
It's like it gives you a list of like some of the top AI podcasts to check out from that front. So that's at least going to be on my to-do list of checking out these certain podcasts and whichever one I feel is relevant to me, I'll take out some time.
Very cool. And kind of all the same lines, but on from the video standpoint, do you have like an informative YouTube or video series that you kind of watch or pay attention to?
It's akin to what I was mentioning when it comes to the books. It's more of like life development or self development type of things from that perspective. When it comes to just
Sure.
and I will say this, when it comes to just marketing overall speaking, I do read more of articles I would say search engine journal is usually my go-to when it comes to reading anything in happening in the industry, and also some thought leaders in the that I follow or that I'm connected with rather on LinkedIn, that they talk about the craft and being able to certain things that are like certain updates that Google did on the ads dashboard that you need to be aware of and so forth. So those are the things that I usually do. So I follow and keep up to date when it comes to things in marketing. And as I mentioned earlier, the local marketing organization that I'm a part of, they do events on a monthly basis. They have a certain speaker that they bring in talking about certain things or certain trends that are happening in the industry. Just a few examples I can give. It's just this year alone. We talked about Facebook ads. One meetup where we talked about GA4 or Google Analytics 4, for those who don't know the initials. The latest one we talked about was doing Google ads in industries where it is rather hard to do Google ads for, just due to just whatever is being sold. Like, for example, I think there's like cannabis, for example, right? Since there can be a lot of restrictions for those certain products and services, there was a speaker who came in. Actually, it was rather a panel discussion talking about these certain, being able to maneuver your way throughout doing pay-per-click advertising, so then you can be able to get what you want to get out of it,
and hopefully without getting banned, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, very cool. In that case, kind of what would you say has been your most helpful resource or tool for your business, or just kind of your journey in marketing in the last year or so?
Yeah, I would say to provide even a little bit further, I started to venture on my own last year. And the biggest tool that led me to get to doing this step was Clubhouse. For those who may not know what Clubhouse is, it was a social audio platform that came out during the beginning of the pandemic, I want to say. It slowly got released to be worldwide sometime 2 years ago and so forth. But it was, the way I describe it, it's like an interactive podcast. So there'll be rooms of any and all topics that you can think about. There's a room of people talking about it. So whether it is talking about the results from the football games yesterday, to things that are happening within the government, to even things happening like the dating scene, or even Apple versus Android debates, like whatever you could think of, there was a room of people talking about that, right? And sometimes there are even interviews in there where we could just say, for example, you and me will be we'll be, instead of doing it in this format, we will have a Clubhouse room having this discussion, and then people who are listening in, they get the chance to be able to come up and be able to ask questions related to either one of us or both of us at the same time too. So, and there was a lot of instances where people that you would pay to go to a conference to hear them speak, you get the chance to talk with them directly over there, like for free, and anything that you had wanted to talk about. There was a lot of instances where it came to like local SEO efforts. There, I would speak with experts in that particular field, asking them questions about, hey, this thing happened. What do you think about this? Like, what do you think about this, and this? Like, well, let me tell you, you should be doing that, and that type of work. See, so there's this one club on there called Breakfast with Champions. They do it every weekday morning for about maybe 3 to 4 hours, I want to say. And that helped me get into it and just get myself mentally prepared for what to expect when you are venturing on your own. And all these folks are people who are very established into their own niche and all that. So they're willing and open to provide guidance and provide the information that helped them succeed. So then those who are wanting to get into the same stages, that same level as them, they don't make those same mistakes.
Awesome. Clubhouse. Yeah. I was on there for a little bit. I haven't been on there since for a while, but yeah. Well, let me go ahead. I got 2 more questions for you here, sure, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So what would you say has been the most impactful piece of advice, or what would be the most impactful piece of advice that you could give those who are looking to improve their digital marketing, say SEO, Google, LinkedIn ads? What would be a piece of advice you would give?
Oh, okay, sure, sure. That's a great question, Darrell. Give me a second to think. I would say understand the fundamentals, understand the basics, and understand like the foundational aspect of these different aspects of digital marketing. So whether it's understand the basics of SEO, understand these basics of Google or LinkedIn ads, understand the basics of social media, like really, really master those fundamentals, if you will, because sure, certain tactics may change over time, but at least if you have that fundamental knowledge, that will keep you, they'll give you a good base to be able to do the efforts that you're trying to do from that front. A good, I'll give you a good analogy. There was when, number one, I'm a big basketball junkie, so I have a passion for the game. Some of the best players who have ever played the game, why they stayed for such a long period of time is because their skill set, their fundamentals are so intact that once their athleticism their pretty much got away because Father Time is undefeated, they were still able to be effective at what they were doing. Tim Duncan is a perfect example. Once some of his athleticism was good fading away, he still had the skill set. He still had the right footwork, the right vision, the passing skill, the shooting skill, that you need in a basketball player to stay relevant until it was time for him to retire. Right. So that's what I would use that same concept when it comes to digital marketing. Really, really get yourself to have a solid understanding of what's your foundation, what's the fundamentals, what's the basic, whatever word you want to use. Understand that. Just have a solid understanding of that, and then you can be able to build upon.
Well, how can people get a hold of you and learn a little bit more about you?
Yeah, I'll say the URL link as well as linkedin.com/in/Kamran Hameed marketing. And I'll spell it out. LinkedIn.com/in/KAMRANHAMEED marketing.
All right. Well, Kamran Hameed, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
Well, Darrell, thank you again for taking out the time to have this conversation.